Welcome back to my 6-part series where I attempt to rewrite the Obi-Wan Kenobi series to a certain degree. This will be a rewrite of episode 5, and I feel that this one might be a little tricky. I've already taken out 2 of the characters, Tala and Lola, and I'm not sure if I'm going to let another character return, mainly because I can't remember what significance his character contributed to the episode. So we'll have to see about that. Like always, my first impression criticisms comes first and then the rewrites. Let's get started. First criticism, Tala should have died in the last episode. She really shined in episode 4, and by the end, I wanted her to die not because I didn't like her, I really did, it was because her character peaked in that episode. But after, it was pretty clear that there was nothing left for her character to contribute. Second criticism, what was the point of Vader revealing he knew Reva's true identity all along? He could have been f***ing with her, the way a cat does with a mouse. Third criticism, the Grand Inquisitor lives. What the fuck? What purpose did that serve? Through much consideration, I will not be including Haja in the rewrite. He really didn't do anything, and truthfully, it felt like he was there specifically so Kenobi could comfortably sacrifice himself without being irresponsible about Leia. Also, where's Jaco? Did this guy really just up and leave even after all that kid did for him? This character was a one-hit wonder for me, and I think we just need to go ahead and get into the rewrite already. I have no qualms with the episode opening with the flashbacks, but after it goes to Kenobi, not Reva. When they arrive at the base, Kenobi is overwhelmed by the number of refugees and is still reeling from the death of Tala. There's nothing that can be done but wait. Leia stays close by, but spots children playing. Kenobi sees how anxious she is and tells her it's alright and to go play with the kids. She's nervous at first, but the kids gladly welcome her. The sight of Leia being a kid puts a smile on Kenobi's face and lets him briefly forget the pain. When characters go through some type of ordeal, it's necessary to let them rest afterwards, especially if it was emotionally draining like episode 4 was. Despite the unfortunate circumstances, kids can often make better of the current situation than adults can. That's one of the benefits of having child characters, is that they can help distract from whatever pain the characters are experiencing. But good things must come to an end. The fifth brother explains how they will storm the rebels' base. When he's done, Vader demands Reva gives her opinion. She's hesitant at first, especially with the fifth brother glaring at her, but does as she's told. Vader is pleased with her assessment and compliments the Grand Inquisitor for a job well done. What?
When the Grand Inquisitor reconditioned you, he did this under the incentive of wanting to see how much he could reconstruct an individual's train of thought. He's done this with others and discovered the younger the mind, the easier it is to reshape. Every session was him perfecting the method. Simply put, every decision you make is his own, and that is why, when all this commotion with Kenobi is settled, you will take his place.
The fifth brother is furious to hear this, but can't show it. Vader hands Reva the Grand Inquisitor's saber, instructing that she might as well get used to it since it will eventually be hers. Reva gives a poor performance of gratitude and the Inquisitors take their leave. Once they're out of Vader's presence, the fifth brother pins Reva against the wall, demanding an explanation. Unaware how distraught Reva is, she unleashes the Force, throwing him against the wall, refusing to relent. Only when he starts to plead does she let go. This heavily reminded her of the Grand Inquisitor and how she would plead with him. Reva storms off, and only in the privacy of her quarters does she finally break down. In her moment of weakness, memories resurface, confusing her even further, but when a memory of yellow eyes appear, it's too much and she vomits it all out. This is where it all starts to unravel. When Vader asked for Reva's opinion, that was him evaluating how reliable and similar Reva's decision-making was to a devout Empire supporter, the Grand Inquisitor. That was also part of the point with the exposition dump, was showing that he didn't care how she felt about it. As for Reva, this is a major kick in the gut. She is a victim that has just been told that she will never be free of her abuser because he's in her head. I think a lot of people can relate to this. Even in mild cases of relationships where the partner is controlling and it never escalated any further than that, it's still an experience that most don't ever want to repeat. When the Grand Inquisitor died in episode 2, that description of her smiling was her believing that she was free of him. But I always tried to hint that was unfortunately not the case, and this was confirmation that might never be the case. The Imperial destroyer arrives and Kenobi and the others do their best to prepare for the inevitable. The Inquisitors storm the landing site and open fire, but the doors are locked tight. The fifth brother sarcastically asks, "What now?" Without batting an eye, she instructs him to scout the west perimeter and she'll take the east. Inside, the refugees are instructed to gather their belongings aboard the ship. Roken orders for the hangar doors to be opened, but to everyone's horror, they don't. They look at the blueprints hoping it'll be an easy fix, but the crawl space is too small for any of them to fix the issue. However, Leia was small enough and volunteered volunteered, much to Kenobi's dismay. But Leia wants to contribute after all they've done for her. Kenobi reluctantly agrees, and Leia goes in with the blueprints so she doesn't get lost. I honestly don't mind Leia being assertive in this scene. The reason I slightly changed it was because I wanted her to vocalize her gratitude. As Kenobi waits for Leia, he feels a presence. It's faint but familiar. It guides him to a crack in the wall that was overlooked. It took some maneuvering to get in, but the presence has gotten stronger. Kenobi says him to go any further, but the presence isn't malicious. With lightsaber in hand to guide the way, Kenobi stops and tells her there's no use in hiding. Reva activates her lightsaber and demands he give her back her lightsaber. Why? You have a new one, though it doesn't seem to suit you. This is all your fault. How is that? I knew where my place was in the Empire. I knew my purpose, and you shattered it. If your conviction was as adamant as you claim, nothing I would have done could have shattered it. I just wanted to stop. Can you stop the memories? I won't tell them about this. Just push them back down. Kenobi feels her pain but explains there's nothing he can do, and if she wants it to stop, she has to face it herself head on. He pauses, noticing the irony in his words. To his utter shock, Reva asks how. Seeing how desperate she looks, he approaches and extends his hand out to her. Why? Don't you hate me for killing her? She wouldn't want me to hate you for a decision she made. The one thing that I will commend the series on is them showing Kenobi closed off and very distrusting of people, but through the duration of the show, he opens up and learns to trust again. It didn't do a good job at it, but it attempted to. Part of the issue for me was that hands were extended out to Kenobi first, but we never got a scene where he extended his hand out first, showing that he is taking the incentive of trusting someone first. This right here is my attempt, and for him to extend his hand out to Reva, of all people who killed Tala, I think shows how much he's healing from his ordeal. And I think that was partly the point of the series, or it should have been. As for Reva, this is a character that's reaching their breaking point. And what will be the end result? Let's find out. The two withdraw their sabers. Kenobi places his hand on Reva, who's taken back by his gentleness. I don't think I need to explain why this sentence is significant. Kenobi uses the Force and helps guide Reva through the chaos that is her memories. Again, I apologize if this is not accurate to how the Force is used. Through the flashbacks, it's discovered that she was a youngling. After that, things get dark. The memories become unstable the closer she gets to the truth. She remembers her teacher dying and then running. Another Jedi appears, and at first she feels relief, but is then overwhelmed with fear. The source of that fear is the Jedi before her and their yellow eyes. Reva pulls away from Kenobi, distraught and disoriented. Kenobi tries to calm her down, but she draws her saber and he barely manages to dodge. Kenobi wants to go after her, but he knows what waits at the other end and needs to prepare for the repercussions. Reva emerges unseen. When she returns, the fifth brother asks where she's been, but Reva just storms past him. He follows as she boards the Imperial destroyer. Reva marches into the presence of Darth Vader. It's the same one from her memories. The fifth brother sees her trembling while clutching her saber. While unaware of the context, he knows this will not be forgiven either way and moves away, so there's no doubt whose side he's on. Again, there's no need explaining any of this, but I will say, had the series gone down this route, this would have been far more suspenseful and possibly even anxiety-inducing. Vader makes it clear he doesn't care that she remembers. He knew she was slipping the moment she had her encounter with Kenobi. He doesn't care about any of that and only asks if she is capable of continuing to contribute to the Empire. Reva stops shaking and draws her saber. The fifth brother draws his, but before he can take a step, Vader instructs him not to interfere. Unfortunately, she never stood a chance, but Reva knew that. That's the thing about this scene. Up till now, Reva has been spiraling, which is causing her to second guess everything, but when she draws her saber, that's her making a decisive decision of her own that isn't guided by the Grand Inquisitor. I think that's where the show went wrong with Reva's character, is that she lacked the necessary layers that would give a satisfying character arc, like the one we got with Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender or Killua from Hunter x Hunter. Kenobi emerges from his end and rushes to find Roken. When he does, Kenobi shows him the hidden passage and Roken is mortified. Overwhelmed that another thing has been added to his plate, he's unsure how to fix it. They can't collapse it without risking the structure of the hideout. It also doesn't help that Leia is crawling through the structure. Before they can decide anything, they're informed that the stormtroopers are retreating. I don't think in the show they had any way of seeing what was happening outside, but I need them to, so bear with me. From what little they can see, the yard has been vacated except for one, Reva. There's no doubt it's a trap, but Kenobi feels responsible for her. Roken is completely against it and makes it clear that the doors will not be opened under any circumstances. Kenobi states that he will use the hidden passage, but warns that they don't have much time after this. With caution, Kenobi emerges from the tunnel but is unsure how to reach Reva without being seen. Roken gave him a few grenades, but they won't be of much use once he steps out into the open. Not to mention he doesn't know the extent of Reva's wounds. Kenobi uses the Force to throw a grenade, so he won't be seen, and then a second to create cover. When he reaches Reva, she tells him it's a trap and to leave her before it's too late. Kenobi ignores her warning and tries to help her, but her injury is far more severe than he thought, and now their cover is gone. Surrounded by stormtroopers, Kenobi hopes that his capture will buy the others time, despite his failure to rescue Reva. The fifth brother approaches to restrain Kenobi, but to everyone's shock, the doors open. Obviously, there's going to be a Hail Mary. I also realize that I haven't mentioned the flashbacks, but I don't think they're too much of an issue that I need to address it. Besides maybe adjusting the timing, I see no conflict between them and the rewrite. Kenobi joins the fight as Reva is taken in. Not long he feels Vader's overwhelming presence and urges everyone to retreat. They seal themselves in knowing this is it. To Kenobi's surprise, the hangar doors are open and Leia is waiting for him. Roken explains that after he left, Leia fixed the doors, but when she found that Kenobi left, she refused to board the ship and even volunteered to fight. With a smile, Roken replies that he couldn't let her show him up. And the cycle is complete as Leia comes out of her shell and announces that she will do what is right, which encourages the people around her to stand with her, and with this act, gives birth to General Leia. Reva is being treated with what little medical supplies they have. With no time left, they load Reva onto the ship, but she notices something curious about the ships. Before passing out, with no more patience, Vader removes all obstacles in his way, but is tricked, allowing Kenobi to escape once more. I want to quickly mention this. Vader did have Reva's injury treated, specifically to keep her alive long enough to use her as bait. So she did get her lightsaber wound treated immediately after she received it, and the rebels are treating it as well so she can actually survive her injury. Anyways, as you can probably guess, Episode 6 will be heavily changed since Reva is with Kenobi, and that was always the endgame. Because you cannot allow your character to commit heinous acts and then expect people to feel sorry for them when they have that one moment of revelation. That is literally the same of them asking you to forgive a pedophile for doing you-know-what to a child just because the same thing was done to them as a child. That's not how it works. What happened to Reva's character was terrible, but it did not give her permission or excuse her for attacking unarmed people and terrorizing 2 children. Maybe this could have worked had her characters been given layers, and then being gradually peeled back. Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender is one of the best examples of this. He was a generic antagonist who did questionable things, however, we are shown that there is layers to this character as it's revealed that he too is a victim, that continues to be victimized as we gradually see him lose what little he had left. The same thing can be said about his sister Azula, which I think could be a better comparison. She remained an antagonist pretty much to the end, but despite that, we felt sorry for her when we witnessed her fall apart. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. What the actual hell? What was the damn point of bringing the Grand Inquisitor back? Seriously, I want to know. First of all, his character was pathetic. He was Reva's commanding officer, and he did nothing to reprimand her when she was blatantly stepping out of line and basically just let her walk all over him. His death was just as pathetic. And after all he didn't contribute to the story, he was brought back from the dead to do what? What was so damn important that only his character could do that made it necessary to bring him back?
My lord, we must continue our pursuit of the insurgents. Now is our chance to wipe out this network in its entirety. We cannot prioritize one lone Jedi.
He is not just any Jedi. Follow Kenobi.
At once, Lord Vader.
That's it. He advises Vader. Vader ignores him. That's what he was brought back from the dead for. Damn if that wasn't the most important scene in the entire series. I feel insulted. Moral of the story, if you're going to bring back a character from the dead, give them something to do. Make it worth it. In the last video, I said that episodes 2, 4, and 5 were the weakest for me, and I mentioned I give an order of these videos, so here it is. Episode 4 is the most tolerable out of the 3 episodes, mainly because of Tala. She was such a good character and the actress' performances was solid. Episode 2 and 5 both have issues. A lot was going on in episode 2 that made it felt cluttered, but the acting was also weak and somewhat stiff. While episode 5, it felt like it was dragging because there really wasn't much going on, and because of that, it made the episode feel unnecessary. Don't get me wrong, I love the scene where Vader is pulling that ship down, and I'm pretty sure everyone was applauding when Reva got spanked. However, each episode had a deciding factor. For episode 2, it was the execution of the story and how the events felt forced. As for 5, it was bringing the Grand Inquisitor back from the dead. Both episodes have their issues, but if I had to choose which one I'd be willing to watch again, I'd choose episode 5. At least that one had a payoff, but there really is nothing that stands out in episode 2 that makes watching it worth it. And that will do it for me this episode. Thanks again for watching and hearing me rant. I hope you're getting some enjoyment out of this video, and like always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.